You've manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me happy.
My old friends and new friends alike. Welcome back to the Captain's Log, your one-stop source for everything related to 58 and a half years and counting of Star Trek. I'm Brian Kreitz.
And I'm Lili Fox-Lim. Well, after our milestone 100th episode last week, we're back to business as usual as we start our next round of 100 episodes and hopefully many more hundreds to come.
We hope that now we've manifested ourselves as humans and you can depend on all of us for all the Star Trek information you could ever want. And in just a few minutes, you'll get to see lots more information, hear lots more information as well from Star Trek original series actor and stuntman Bobby Clark. He was the Gorn.
The Gorn.
Yes, we're going to conclude this interview with him that we just started last week. But first, we have several very exciting Star Trek news items to tell you because there's no way we'll get to all of them.
All right, after a more than 18 months of no new episodes, Star Trek Strange New Worlds will finally return for a third season this summer on Paramount Plus. Our favorite. The exact timing to be announced. The teaser trailer is already up on the Star Trek YouTube channel, and it's awesome. In addition, the series has already been renewed for a fourth season. Thank you. And in the meantime, all episodes from the first two seasons are available on
Paramount Plus.
Star Trek Strange New Worlds has won 2 Saturn Awards and been nominated for 2 Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Awards.
It's because it's the best Star Trek series going on right now. A new line of Star Trek action figures are on their way from a company called Nacelle. The company asked Trekkies, like us, for suggestions, and the result is 8 new figures encompassing a variety of Star Trek movies and TV series. The 8 characters are Captain Edward Jellicoe from Star Trek The Next Generation, played by Ronnie Cox in The Chain of Commands. Wei Yun from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Jeffrey Combs. Captain Rachel Garrett from Star Trek The Next Generation. And that was that great episode called Yesterday's Enterprise. I love that one. Captain Hikaru Sulu from Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Peter Preston from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Ooh, hey, that's Scotty's nephew, for those of you forgetting to watch the director's cut of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Peter Preston.
It is.
Continue, BK.
Oh, inside information, right? It is a poor Scotty in that situation because he lost his nephew to that bloody bath from Khan. But wait! The next action figure is Lily's favorite bottle episode. It's what Paramount calls filler episodes of goofy goober rubbish technobabble. Tuvix from Star Trek Voyager Season 2 episode titled Tuvix.
Oh, I love Tuvix. A lovable loser of all. And then he's killed and split back into, I love the Vulcan, Mr. Tuvok, and the Neelix. Essentially, that life from Tuvix just got Neelix nuked to nothingness in a mess hall microwave of all microwaves via transporter accident.
It is a Star Trek crime to kill unique life forms, but we couldn't have had the great Tim Russ or Ethan Phillips anymore if there was a Tuvix. Okay, the other 2 action figures are Valkyris from the 1984 film Star Trek III: The Search for Spock, and Mir Archer from Star Trek Enterprises and The Mirror Darkly, your favorite series, Enterprise.
Pre-orders are now being taken at Nacelle's webpage. Why do you suppose they chose the Mirror Archer?
I know, that's what I was just thinking. It's so obscure.
That's interesting. The 14th Star Trek movie is now available on home video. Star Trek Section 31 was released on
Paramount Plus
on January 24th, becoming the first of the 14 Star Trek movies not released to theaters. Starring Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh as an Emperor Philippa Georgiou, reprising her role from Star Trek Discovery. Paramount Home Entertainment has released Section 31 on a 4K Ultra HD and Blu-ray combo, a collectible 4K Ultra HD and Blu-ray Steelbook on Blu-ray, regular DVD, and digital.
So freaking cool, right? I watched that movie with producer Chip Selstad as well. It was great.
Yeah. And, to boot, a 9-episode Star Trek audio drama titled Star Trek Gorn. Khan is on the way. The series covers Khan Noonien Singh between his introduction in the Star Trek original series season episode Space Seed and the 1982 movie Star Trek II Wrath of Khan.
Best movie.
The series will star Naveen Andrews of the TV series Lost as Khan, and Star Trek Khan will be available on all major streaming services.
Well, thank you for you revealed that to me. I tried to ask you a few weeks ago, and you're like, I can't tell you. So thank you for revealing that. Much is going on always in the Star Trek universe. We expect to have plenty more news updates in the future, but now we'll take a visit to the distant Star Trek past as we give you part 2 with our interview, the none other than Gorn guy, Bobby Clark.
A captain's log returns in a moment.
Let's welcome back my favorite Gorn Martian, Bobby Clark. Now let me ask you this question for our interview continuation, Bobby Clark. You moved so meticulously, deliberately, and slowly as one of my favorite alien species, the Gorn. What was the experience like going after Captain Kirk in that Gorn suit and then having to build a weapon to kill each other in this whole process from what you remember?
The situation was, this is a reptilian creature. Now, anybody who knows a lizard knows that when it's hot, they can move. But when it ain't hot, they don't move. And if they do, they move slowly. And that was how this Gorn was. We were on this planet that had no name, and that's where we landed. And it was just that's James Kirk. It was just the 2 of us put on this island by these people called the Metrons, and the Gorn would come to this Cestus 3. So the Gorn had free access to Cestus 3, and then the Metrons moved in. And they had the Gorn ship. The Gorn ship stayed ahead of the Enterprise, and the Enterprise would go, and they just Enterprise could not catch up with them until the guys stopped the ship, and then they stopped Kirk's ship, and then they zoomed him down to this planet, him and the Gorn. And the thing was to battle until the death of one of them.
This is fascinating. Such a fascinating episode, Arena. And to hear you tell your story from your perspective is very fascinating. So, you as the Gorn and James Kirk have to build a weapon of sorts to kill each other, as Lili said, right?
That was pretty close to the top, because there was no weapons on that planet. We were on this other planet, just the 2 of us. And no weapons, nothing, but yet we're to kill. Now, if it was a battle to battle, Kirk didn't have a chance to fight that Gorn, no way. And even I don't see how in the hell I let him get away, but he got away because he was quick and fast, and I was cumbersome and slow. But the Gorn found something that he could make a knife with, and he was working on a knife, and Shatner could not find anything. Could not find a damn thing to make that would aid him in doing it. He got a stick, and the stick was no good, and the bamboo was no good. But he was looking around, and all of a sudden, he found these rocks there. They were diamonds. And then he found some other stuff here, and it turned out to be another part. And then they put it up, and then he found gun smoke. And then he found some bamboo that was right to make a cannon with. So that was Shatner's job, was to get that all together and make that before the Gorn would get him. Well, the Gorn's on him and after him. And the Gorn set some traps for it, and Kirk got into the damn traps, and the Gorn was just about ready to get him, and Kirk would snap away and run away and get away, and the Gorn would yowl. So the Gorn called him up and says, this is the Gorn. Wait for me. I will be merciful and quick. And, he did all that talking and stuff. And eventually, Kirk got the cannon done. And when the Gorn came out there with his knife, boom, it got him.
Now, were you doing the voice of the Gorn?
I did it, but no, they didn't, because they didn't want to bring me back to the studio to dub it in. So they let, there was another actor that did the voice.
Right, the dubbed voice ended up being actor Ted Cassidy. Everyone knows him as the original butler Lurch on the television series The Addams Family, and of course his Star Trek role as Rook in a few episodes before this, titled What Are Little Girls Made Of?
Yes, I remember that one.
Good actor. I knew him.
Wow, nice! As the Gorn, what about all the reptilian Gorn slithery sounds?
He does the sounds too. It's hilarious.
All right, I would have just knocked you out. Were you doing all that slithery sound while you're swinging your muscly green Gorn arms? Was that you?
That was all me. Yeah. And then I also did the dialogue on it where, let's see, what was that? I'm Chasman, and I get on the communicator. I said, Captain Kirk, this is your opponent. Kirk was talking back and forth thought he was talking to his ship, but the Gorn was hearing him, and the Gorn says, I've heard every word you have said, and I'm getting weary of the chase. So wait for me, and I will be merciful and quick. And then Kirk took off, and then the chase started more and kept going and kept going. And eventually Kirk got him, and then after that, then the Metron came onto it. And the Metron says, do you want us to send him to his ship, or do you want to kill him? And Kirk says, no, I won't kill him. I don't know for sure if they were right in invading Cessna, but I'm not sure that we were right in invading Cessna, but using Cessna. So he says, no, I'm not going to kill you. And then the Metron sent the Gorn back to his ship, and they sent Kirk back to his ship, and someday in 100 and something years, he may understand who had the right. So that was the end of that one.
So cool. So Gary Combs was also there as a stunt performer. Bobby, how was he involved, and what was it like in the suit when you're working opposite the stunt double for Kirk? Was it Dick Dial, and how many days were you there?
He was another Gorn. In case, you see, that suit was, like I told you, it was a diver's wetsuit. And it was pretty warm out there. It was in November, but that wetsuit was pretty cumbersome. So we had a lot of walking to do there. And Gary did a lot of walking through that, because that's brush, the tumbleweed and everything. And the feet were like 18 inches long and hard to move through all that brush, because the foot would get hooked into it and stuff like that. And I would work, and then he would do a little something out there where whatever. And that was Gary Combs. And the other guy that did the fight was they had a name for him, but I forgot what the name was. And the name that they had for him, that I knew the guy that did the fight, Dick Dial. Yes, he did it. Yeah.
Before we get to your other episodes of Star Trek, Bobby, please talk about your first convention in the year 2000, or the other conventions where your book, Gorn to Trek, was involved in your upcoming Star Trek cruise.
The first Gorn convention came out, it was longer. It was, what the hell? It was in the year 2000 was when that first came out. That was my first convention as the Gorn. Now, there was no other conventions as the Gorn. And after that, that's when I started saying, well, shit, this is what we did, and this is how it went. And then, but somehow or other, Gary's son got together with him, and Gary didn't like doing that kind of stuff anyway. He was with Stunts Unlimited, and then there was the association and stuff like that. So yeah, but he was the other Gorn, and I don't remember who the Metron was, and then Dick Dial. That was only the three of us in that part. Now it was 3 days. The show was longer than 3 days, but I was only part of it for 3 days. I went there, I did my job, and when it was over, that was it. I was done. I never hung around or did that. I just started, all of a sudden, I started getting calls to do the Gorn. I'm the Gorn.
Tell us if you still have copies of your book available. The Gorn book is titled Gorn to Trek.
Well, yes, but I think I'm out of them now. That came later on after I hit the conventions. My first convention, was a real, pardon me, buster. It was in Pasadena, and my son Carl, who also worked in the business, he used to come up to me and say, "Dad," he says, "you gotta go and start doing these shows." I don't want to do what the Gorn. That was forget it. I'm not going to do it. And he nagged me for years. There was several years that he kept nagging me, and then finally one day he brought a little trinket. Can you see him?
Yes.
All right. This was the Gorn. This was myself. And my son got one of these, and he says, look, this was you. I filmed that in, what did you say it was?
It aired in 1967, but it was filmed in November of 1966. And Bobby, you were there 3 days, you said earlier. The Gorn costume is very popular,
Yes.
so I understand you weren't there for Star Trek Enterprise when they brought the CGI version of the Gorn back, but there was a commercial of the Gorn with Shatner.
They had a couple other things that the Gorn did. One thing, he was with he was on the couch reading a paper, the Gorn was, or something, and it wasn't me. And I wondered who in the hell, who was it? Never found, even to this day, I don't know who it was. And then I heard there was one other. But now I know of at least 6 other Gorns, because people have gone out and they've gotten the Gorn costume made up. And sometimes they come to the conventions where I'm at, and they'll want to come up and they'll want a picture with the Gorn, me and him. And it's kind of I like it. It's strange.
Bobby, let's move on to your next Star Trek The Original Series episode. You also played the Betan Rioter as one of the townfolk in the Star Trek Season 1 episode, The Return of the Archons. How did you get that job, and what was your line again that you yell out as the Rioter wearing the black suit? And also you played Chekov's Mirror Universe henchman. Too bad you were vaporized by death of a phaser blast.
That was my big blow right there for that show, though. I got hired to come in there and do that, and I just did a short, quick rehearsal, and then I did it. That was like a full day's work. That's where I busted in the store, busted the windows, raked through it, and came running out there, and I threw my arms up, and I'm right in front of the camera, and I holler, "Festival, festival." And then I took off and I ran because it was a festival. That started the whole rigmarole, and I was gone. That's all I did on that. But I had a part, and I did a stunt with it, and it was a good paying thing. Now the other one I did was Mirror Mirror. Now there again, I doubled one of the Chekov's henchmen on it, because there was two of Chekov's, and there was two of everybody. There was two Kirks, and I had worked other with them, but I didn't have any pictures of it. But we were ushering Shatner around because he was the original, not the bad one, not the bad Kirk. He was the good Kirk, and we were issuing him around, and I was one of Chekov's henchmen. I was in the elevator with Shatner, and when we got up to the floor where it was, we stopped and we got out, and I'm sitting there. I've got Shatner a hold of me, and then one of the other guys zaps me with the gun, and I go back and I hit the wall, slide down, get the floor, and I start to get up, and he zaps me again, and that was the end of Bobby Clark of that show.
Very cool. Star Trek episodes you were a part of in season 2, as you mentioned with Mirror Mirror, but also talk about the episode The Apple. You wore a wig and some heavy makeup doing stunts in that episode as well, right?
The stunt that I performed on that was with two other guys. I did something else on the Apple too. I don't remember what it was. I remember though that they came down and they found this pleasant planet, and everything was nice and beautiful. And there was men and women on it, aliens, foxy ladies and guys, but they were young. There was no kids on the ship. The kids were all done, and Vaal was the one that run that show. And these people are what fed Vaal. They would bring stuff for Vaal to eat. I don't know how that all worked, but Vaal was a computerized thing. That was a computerized thing. Well, after we had the skirmish, then they decided that we have to kill Kirk and all his friends. So myself and two other guys and a couple of extras come out with weapons to kill Kirk. And I was the one that goes after Kirk, and to kill them all actually. But I was the one that goes after Kirk, and then I have this. He does his. I don't know. He only had about 5 favorites. He had the drop kick, and he had the pop the ears, and that was his famous things, and the body slam. But anyway, I came at him, and he did this, and he flipped me up and got me over, and so forth and so on, and he took care of me on that. So that was my part of that I had on the Apple. But I was, I had a hairdo on it, and I was a different color, and it had white hair. I think it was white hair.
Second-degree burns. Not serious, but I bet they're smart.
Doctor, you have an unsurpassed talent for understatement. Marvel!
Put them in the hut. Find out where the women are. Put them in there, too.
You doubled the Carradines on a lot of shows, kung fu shows in particular.
David Carradine. Now, here we go. I've doubled David Carradine on a lot of shows. I doubled John Carradine on a lot of shows. And I've even doubled the other kid, Carradine, on a couple of shows. Now, see, that's how that goes. Once I got that name Carradine, boom, it lit up. John and David, and that was a kung fu. See, I did a couple of kung fus.
The most critically acclaimed production that you've worked on is another science fiction work, the 1968 science fiction classic film 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is actually like one of the favorites here of the producers, particularly like Zorn. Please talk about your experiences with that film.
I did not work on the movie. I worked on the preparation of that movie. I was called in as a stuntman, and we went to it was an old barn in Hollywood.
Nice! A very detailed account of having to emulate a non-gravity environment in space. Were you working with the legendary director Stanley Kubrick, who is widely considered to be one of the most meticulous and demanding directors of all time, or was it with the second unit?
I had like a spacewalk where I had to go on the side of the ship. They got me harnessed up there, and my feet are out here and my hands here, or my feet are down there, or whatever. And I'm just going like this, grabbing onto things that's going to get me to where I got to go. And when you're hanging from somewhere, it's just everything is gravity, no anything, and you just but you don't the speed, everything, you don't have no speed, because
A captain's log returns in a moment.
Hey, well, thanks again so much to Bobby Clark for the great interview. People involved in the Star Trek, the original series, are passing almost every year, it seems like. So we are particularly appreciative, both of us, when we are still able to share these stories and interviews and memories with working on that original series classic.
Yes, it's the human thing to do. And to the Trekkies who watch us, thank you so much for your continued loyalty and support for 101 episodes and counting of A Captain's Log. We're greatly honored to have you on board with us as we continue our journey that we hope is a human adventure that persists.
Yes, we'll be back again next week with another stop in our ongoing adventure in the Star Trek universe.
Hello,
Bye for now.
Happy, my old friend. I'm glad you've manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me happy. Ooh. Thank you.